promise you this was not intentional, because I didn't realize that this was a movie that had a bit of a Western theme to it. But, yeah, this. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Cynical Sane 77, and we are finally finishing off the Rambo series. After taking a break yesterday for Shazam 2 and a bunch of other crazy shit, we are finally finishing off another franchise. And this movie's fucking terrible. But, it is better than Rambo 3. I still stand by that Rambo 3 is the worst movie in this whole series. Last Blood still sucks, though. Now, I'd say this is probably on the level of Jason Bourne, because I think I gave Jason Bourne a 3 out of 10, if I'm not mistaken. But, I'll give this movie this. It has an okay ending and a fantastic final act. As much as I fucking hate most of this movie, the final act of this movie is some of the best shit in the Rambo series. No doubts. So let's dive in. So since I have some main negatives, we'll start with the positives first. This movie is bloody as fuck, and it has a hell of a body count. Like, you love blood, you love gore, you love your Carnage candy, you're gonna love this. I don't think the deaths are as good as they are in Rambo 4, with the exception of the ultimate bad guy that gets to have probably one of the greatest deaths ever. Like, holy shit, that death was so good. And Rambo is definitely at his most brutal here. Like, there's a scene earlier in the movie where he doesn't kill a guy, but he rips out a part of his neck that's attached to his spine. And for like a good 10 minutes, you see it just jutting out of him. Like, that shit's brutal. And yes, this movie has a lot of CG blood, but I'm willing to look past it because this is a movie that had a very low budget. So I'm not going to be too hard on that. And the practical effects we do get here are very good. We get exploding bodies, we get decapitations, we get fucking... I already mentioned the guy getting his throat ripped out. Like, there was some brutal shit in this movie. And the practical effects, when they actually are there, are really good. And all the deaths here are very satisfying. I will also give this movie some props for not doing the cliche final movie thing and killing the protagonist. Because Rambo does not die in this movie. I mean, sure, it is left a little ambiguous, but no. I refuse to believe that he just died by bleeding out in a chair. Like, no, fuck that. That's not Rambo. Rambo's the kind of guy that would go down fighting, and it would take a zillion hits to actually kill him, not 2 fucking gunshots. Like, come on. So yeah, Rambo doesn't die. I give this movie some credit for not doing that cliche bullshit thing and killing off the main protagonist. But that's pretty much where my positives end. The violence and gore is great, the practical effects are good, and Rambo doesn't get killed. Rambo doesn't die. He gets close in one scene when he's brutally beaten, but he doesn't die. Those are the 3 positives I will give this movie. And that final act is really fucking good. The rest of this movie, though, is a boring, tedious, monotonous pile of shit. Stallone's still acting great here, and I do like that they tried to take Rambo in a different direction after, you know, he went back home at the end of Rambo 4. I like that they tried to continue that. The problem is, everyone around him, all the other actors, suck ass. Like, I'm sure they weren't working with the best material here, but goodness gracious, it was fucking bad. Like, Gabriella, the one bitch that is with, you know, that one bitch character that's with the somewhat daughter of Rambo, throughout most of the movie, and then later has an extended scene with him where she shows him who's responsible for kidnapping his sort of kind of daughter. It's a bit confusing. But the whole time, she is annoying. She has the most irritating accent imaginable. Not the Spanish thing. I mean, like, the sassiness. It just gets on my fucking nerves. And her character is flat, generic, and has little to no actual personality outside of being a sassy bitch. That's pretty much it. And then the rest of the actors here aren't even really fucking trying. Like, the villains suck, the cartel members suck, the one random woman that follows Rambo around and then later saves him for plot reasons sucks, all the other characters suck. Seriously, even the daughter is terrible. Everyone in this movie, aside Sylvester Stallone, is terrible. But it is not all their fault, and these actors can be good when they're given good material. Unfortunately, that's not the case here, because the writing here is shit as well. Full of plot holes, contrivances, obvious plot armor, a ton of just random filler shit that didn't need to be there, and so many scenes of just standing around and talking, and everyone talks in this low tone or in fucking Spanish. Like, the fuck? Like, how am I supposed to be invested when A, I can barely tell what the fuck you're saying, even with subtitles, and B, when you're speaking a language that I don't know? Like, holy shit. And even the subtitles are mispronouncing it, because I looked it up later, all the things that they were actually saying. There was some mispronunciation in the subtitles. And the movie's pace drags like a rock. It is absolutely slow as fuck. And outside of Rambo, you don't give a shit about anyone in this movie. And this is another movie that Stallone himself wrote, or had a hand in the screenplay of writing. And I'm pretty sure he only wrote Rambo's parts, because Rambo's parts are still good. He's still good as John Rambo, and I like what they were trying to do with the character. I can see what they were attempting. The problem is, the writing of everything around him is terrible. And then the story kind of sucks too. Like, you think, oh, well, now Rambo's gonna go save his daughter from the cartel. Well, for one, another thing I'll give them props for, they do kill the daughter off in a way that's definitely very sad, even though I didn't really care about the character. I could understand Rambo's emotions in that particular moment. But outside of that one scene, like, it is so dragged out. It is so fucking slow. It is so tedious. And it pretty much takes all the good will of that concept and throws it down the shitter. Like, it is bad. It is very bad. Which sucks, because again, the concept didn't sound too bad on paper. Rambo's somewhat kind of sort of daughter gets kidnapped by someone that's having some kind of like illegal horse selling ring, something like that. It's a little confusing. And then he has to go and save them. That's not a bad premise for a Rambo film. If only the writing was actually strong enough to make me give a shit. Because when your writing is terrible, and your story can't be good at all. Like, if the writing doesn't sell me on the premise or what's happening on screen, you fucked up. Plain and simple. And the directing here is also bad, but it's not, like, offensively god-awfully bad. But this movie has so much shaky cam. Like, it is so bad. It, again, just like Rambo 4, it gets better when it gets to the final act, which is why it's good, because you can actually see what the fuck's happening on screen, and it's not doing this the whole time. But holy shit, the rest of the movie, even when it's a fucking still shot, that camera is shaking like a motherfucking bitch. And it's annoying. Like, I mean, okay, it's not Michael Bay level bad, but it is fucking bad, because it gets to the point where you can't even see what the fuck is happening in front of you. But again, in the final act, it somewhat stops, so I'll give it a little credit. And then the editing. What the fuck was this editing? Like, so many scenes felt like they were either chopped at a very bad point where they just feel too short, or it's just dragged the fuck out. Like, this could have really used some cutting in the editing room to get rid of some of the monotonous, dragged out shit that didn't need to be there. This movie pisses me off, plain and simple. I literally would not ever watch this again, except for that final scene. The final scene, and the one scene with the dude getting his throat ripped out. I can watch. I also do like the one scene where Rambo goes in and murders everyone with a hammer, especially one dude that gets a hammer clawed to the dick. Like, that is brutal. But, I mean, just... this movie just frustrates the fuck out of me, because with those scenes, it almost becomes a competent film. But aside from those scenes, it is slow, it is boring, it is tedious, it is hard to understand, hard to comprehend, and absolutely horribly written, with a god-awful story and tons of boring filler shit that should have been cut out. Yes, I know, I'm digging into this one more than I did Jason Bourne, even though I think Jason Bourne is a worse movie. But, fuck, I expected so much more from this. Like, I knew it was bad. I saw the Metacritic score, like, when it first came out back in 2019, so I skipped it. And now I can understand that was a good decision, because this movie blows. It is terrible, and it is a horrible ending to this series. Yes, it has good practical effects. Yes, the gory, killy violence is still great here. Yes, there's lots of blood, there's a great body count, and the final scene almost makes up for the whole movie. But Rambo 4 was already a good conclusion, and you didn't need to drag it out anymore. This isn't a Creed situation where Sylvester Stallone comes back to a great role and is able to do something different with the character that makes you like him even more. This is a movie that feels like a rushed-out cash-in and pretty much nothing else. Direct-to-DVD fluff. Like, you know those shitty direct-to-DVD horror films that we get almost all the fucking time now? That's what this felt like. A direct-to-DVD movie that just happened to be in theaters and that just happened to be connected to the Rambo series. This movie is terrible. But it has a few things that I can admit I did like. Like I said, the gory violence, which was fucking excellent here. Rambo himself is still himself, and Stallone does do good in the acting department there. And the practical effects of said violence and gory deaths. But the rest of this movie is complete waste. It's a waste of time, it's a waste of money, and there's little to no effort. And it's fucking sad that this is the ending of what could have been a great series, but instead it's just good. I have nothing more to say, because now I'm just going to end up talking in fucking circles, so let's end it right here. Final verdict for Rambo Last Blood is a 3 out of 10. A terrible film. Not worth your time. Watch the gory, violent death scenes on YouTube, and don't even bother watching this movie. It is an hour and 40 minutes of absolutely nothing worth a damn. If it didn't have the gory violence and the good practical effects, and if Stallone wasn't still doing a good job as Rambo, this would be a 2. Hell, it'd be a fucking 1. But because it has that, it has a little bit of entertainment value, I'm giving it a 3. And as for the ranking of the series, there you go. That's the ranking of the series. Man, it sucks we're ending with such a piece of shit, because I really like this Rambo series. I do. I found First Blood decent. I love First Blood Part 2. Sure, 3 was shit, but then 4 was a nice reset. And then we have this one, which is just fucking terrible. And the fact that this is supposed to be the end of the series just feels like a complete waste. So yeah, here's my recommendation. Watch First Blood, watch First Blood Part 2, skip to 4, and pretend 3 and 5 don't exist. That's all I can really say. Thank you guys for watching. Remember to like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. And thankfully, we're done talking about this shit, because now we are going to dive into another very good series. Much stronger than almost anything else we've talked about so far this month. What series is that? Well, wait here a second, I'll get it. Since the 4th one's coming very soon, and people are saying it's a masterpiece, well, we gotta cover this one. We're doing John Wick. I haven't watched these movies in a while, so we'll see if they hold up. But, yeah. We'll start with the first one, so see you guys for my review of John Wick Chapter 1. Peace.